What is up, Finesse family? Hopefully everybody is having a great day today, guys. Today we're going to get straight into it. We're going to get straight into the topic. As you guys see the title, the metaverse hurt, and we're going to I'm going to break down and analyze and try to show you guys what I've learned and educate you on what are the ins and outs of this metaverse, the good and bad of it, just so you can kind of freely see what is really offered. So I'm excited about this conversation. I have a special guest to come up and help with the conversation too, so super excited and geeked that they made time for that. So let's get into it. So if you're new to the channel, hello to you, bonjour, hola, good day to you. If you did not know, my name is Mrs. B Finesse of millennialfinessemindset.com. And here, what I do on this channel, guys, is I use my background in psychology and criminal justice, and I talk about and teach on how to have a mindful mindset, and that is just having understanding, being aware of things, and getting the full picture, and just instead of a biased side or a one-sided view. And then the finesse mindset, and the finesse mindset means you're faithfully innovating, you're inspiring, you're being naturally effective, and you're seeking success every day. That is my goal with my family, and I'm hoping that you guys express and do that with your family daily, guys. So once again, thank you to all that have come to the channel. If you're new, consider subscribing, guys. And also, I always want to give a shout out to the Finesse family, guys. Thank you guys for all the support with the sharing, the liking the videos, the commenting. If you haven't, go back and comment. Make sure you do that before the video is over. Also, thank you to you guys that were super chatting, giving cash apps, all of you guys that joined the membership. Shout out to you guys. You guys are awesome, and I really appreciate all the support from the beginning. Finesse fam, I always want to tell you guys thank you, because you support, and I want to give you your flowers now for that, guys. So thank you for that. Also, guys, if you have not checked out the clothing and fashion accessories line, Blue and Green Hundreds, check them out, guys. They have accessories for men, women, children, kids. They have bags, they have clothes, so make sure you guys check them out. Blue and Green Hundreds. They are a great quality brand. All right, guys, so let's get into it, guys. We're going to get straight into it, and I'm super excited. Make sure you guys are sharing, hit the like button on the way in, and let's go. Hopefully you guys can hear me well. Let me know in the chat, guys, if you can hear me well, if it sounds good. You can kind of hear the vibes going on in the back, because I definitely want to get straight into it. So today, guys, the focus that I want to talk about is this metaverse, and all the proclivities that go with it, the ins and outs, the negatives and the positive with the metaverse. I definitely want to know what you guys think. I'm looking at, let's see if the poll's coming up. I asked you guys, do you guys think the metaverse would be a positive or negative thing in the long run? So let me know what you guys think about that. And here is the topic at hand I want to get into with you guys. Once again, shout out to the Finesse family. Thank you guys for always supporting. I always appreciate you guys. Couldn't do without you guys. Shout out to you guys. And thank you for the comments and the likes and the sharing. You guys are awesome. Let's see. Oh, it's time for some great content. Thank you, BGH. He is a channel member, and thank you for your support. As always, it's much appreciated. Thank you, OG Patrice. She's saying greetings and salutations. I took that off. Ay, Dios míos. OG, just don't pay attention to what it's saying. I can see the comments still, guys. And we got ops in the building. All right. So what I'm going to do as I'm going through this is I'm just going to bring our guests up so we can kind of go back and forth and talk. So once again, guys, we have the one and the only Professor Black Ops. Hey, Ops, how are you feeling today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm in a conference room. Hopefully I'm not echoing too bad. So,
It's a slight, but we can deal with it. We can deal with it. We got the vibes in the back, so hopefully that kind of drowns out a little bit of it. But so ops, what I have here is I have an article. Let me get it up so we can both see it. Brought to me, and I thought it was super interesting. Because it's basically saying, so it says, so I'm going to kind of go through it, and I want to go back and forth with you and touch base on the proclivities of this, the ins and outs of it, from your experiences being in cybersecurity and working in IT, what you see as far as the vision on this. And my whole thing, when I'm looking at it from my perspective, Professor Blacksoft, is I'm looking at kind of the psychology side of it, and even leading into mental and the mindset of it, how this will affect the mindset of people, and then even the justice part of it, like why we do what we do, and then the legality of it, what will be legal or illegal in the metaverse. So we want to start off with the basic part of it, just entering in it, right? So this article says 18 people spent a week working in the metaverse. It says 2 dropped out and the rest felt frustrated and said their eyes hurt, study found. Now, me specifically working in education, I know this can be true because my students always complain about looking at the screen and their eyes hurting and burning after like 30 minutes to an hour. And I know, Ops, you work in the college level, university level. Do you hear that much from the students that you have as far as them looking at their devices a lot and how it's affecting them?
Not a lot. Just resigned, but I did it for 10 years. No, I think that generation grew up on computers, aiming for 16 hours a day since they were 10. Mm-hmm. Right. So I think that age group, I think, is meant for this. I think that's going to be the main demographic. So I think that is half of my students do not work on their phone. I'm like, dude, that's a tiny screen. So.
Okay, cool. We're gonna, and Ops, you probably, because I can hear you but I can't, so you might want to just kind of keep forward. I don't know if it's because you're moving.
I'm probably moving. I'm trying to make something to block the sound. I can talk into the mic.
Now you sound really, yeah, you sound really good now.
Yeah,
whatever you're doing, you sound good.
Oh. Make my little sound blocking like I'm at home. So getting together.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and sprint through this article so we can have a conversation. All right, so the article, guys, is saying, it says 18 volunteers experimented by spending a week working in the metaverse using virtual reality, right? So these are people that volunteered to do this. It says 2 dropped out in hours while the rest reported feeling anxious and frustrated. And then it says the study lays groundwork for subsequent research into the potential of the metaverse for work, right? So when you guys think about this, as far as the metaverse too, it's already ideals of this is being used for like home healthcare, especially for people that need rehabilitation or even like therapy, things of that nature. So they're already using this in its base with things of that nature when you're dealing with rehabilitation as far as physical and mental, right? So it says the concept of the metaverse has been hailed as a future of work, meetings, and even with the companies that recruit workers, right? And if you don't really kind of understand what the metaverse is, to me, the best way to explain it, I say millennials, going back to whatever that generation is in front of millennials, it's kind of like Sims. I never played it, but I know a lot of people did. And then leading forward, if you have children or grandchildren, it's what they're doing as far as being on Fortnite and then playing, what's that other one? I think Minecraft, and I think there it is. Roblox was the other one. Yeah, Roblox. So that's kind of if we didn't extra explain what metaverse is, that's the basis of what it is, right? So it's just it's an area when you're in it's not virtual. It's not augmented, but I think it's like 4D or something, the way to explain it. But you're in there with the people at the time things are happening, right? And I know Ops can explain that a little bit better, but I just kind of want to do a general synopsis for those that are confused, right? And so it says 18 university staff logged into the metaverse for an entire working week. It says 2 of them had to drop out due to nausea, while the rest reported feeling more frustrated, anxious, and said their eyes hurt by the end. This is the New Scientist reported. It says at its most basic, the metaverse, which has become better known since Facebook renamed it Meta, it's the physical version of the internet, right? It's where people interact with avatars and virtual reality technology, all right? So it says For the experiment, it says the paper titled "Qualifying Effects of Working VR for 1 week." Because guys, listen, this is what companies are looking for, especially the bigger companies that are already, working and facilitating this. They basically want to do things in the virtual reality, in the metaverse, right? Hold meetings, do school, do classes, everything, right? Live there. It says researchers wanted to understand the effects of working in VR for extended periods of time and how this compared to work in the physical environment. It says they asked volunteers who were either university staff or researchers to spend an entire 5 days working in a recreated virtual reality office. It amounted to 8 hours a day, a 45-minute lunch break. And it says afterwards they spent time in the real work environment. It says participants weren't given any set tasks to complete, meaning they could control their own work day. That's interesting. And it says they weren't, however, given identical equipment. It says 2 of the participants dropped out within hours, complaining of the nausea, anxiety, migraines, caused partly by the weight of the Oculus 2 Quest headset. They both said nausea is a common side effect of virtual reality. So right there, Ops, from your experience and just you dealing even in IT and then leading, I guess you could say, with cybersecurity and then Meta. First, could you tell us how that would mix or relate, the cybersecurity side and the metaverse, and then tell us from what we've talked about so far, your perception of or your commentation on what you heard so far.
The scary part is they're just really working on the cybersecurity part in the metaverse, right? Because people don't realize when you're in the metaverse, it's going to take a digital picture of your face. It's going to have a digital representation of your voice, right? So if somebody steals your voice and start using it, right? A lot of times you use your voice on your phones now. It gives you facial recognition. It's going to have a print of that because you're going to have on your Oculus, and a lot of people are going to do those avatars. They're going to digitize their face and their body to be their avatar. Right? So what's the security ramifications of that? The payments like Roblox are already in there. You can do your credit card. A lot of people are going to do Bitcoins. How are you securing that? If I'm breaking your account, can I steal your Bitcoins and your credit card? The answer is yes, right? So they're trying to figure out what is from a cybersecurity perspective, how should they lock it down? How are they going to lock it down? Because the Oculus is kind of a new interface form to communicate with the metaverse. So a lot of security things haven't even been figured out and stretched out to understand it at that level, right? So then nausea, right, is because most people just do Teams or Zoom, right? So people are used to that. Now Oculus, it's like you're in a whole different realm, right? It's like you're almost underwater. So like, how does your body become used to that, right? So you're going to be nauseous. So they're trying to work all that out, right? Because you got to think, I'm old. In the 80s, people were like, oh, you can't stare at your computer all day. Now we do it all day, right? People are used to it, right? So I think when the second wave of kids that get used to Oculus get in there, I think it'll be okay. But the old people, they're going to suffer because they're not used to the Oculus. I'm sure those people were never really in the Roblox and all those other type of games. Most of those probably are boomers and, so they're not used to technology like that, where I think the younger generation are used to that, from gaming and Roblox, like you said, and all those other Sim, all those other type things. So I think the younger generation is going to adapt much more easily. Like I said, I expect that older generation that was better tested, and those teachers to struggle.
And you know what? That's an interesting synopsis now that I actually kind of analyze it the way you said it, because I'm wondering, Ops, well, like you kind of prefaced, is the body conforming to that extra stimulation with this newer generation of kids? Because like you said, when they come out the womb, the parents think it's just normal just to give them the phone and give them the tablet because that is what's offered to them. And I never thought about it that way, because this, like you said, this group that's probably working here might be whatever. I don't know what's after millennial. I don't know what that group is.
I don't know either.
I don't know, Gen, whatever. But I guess we'll say older, but don't take it to heart, guys, what I'm saying that. But yeah, they haven't grown up with that, so they're not used to it. So as a man, but I mean, even thinking about that, Ops, the way our body is, like there's certain safe, I guess you could say, kind of things that our body does are safe safe options that it does to keep us from getting overstimulated or wearing out some type of body part or organ. So even though our body was made to get nauseated because we feel too much virtual reality, or it's too distorted or whatever, what do you speculate that could do to a human when we get normalized to that? Though it would just be inevitably, like, it would just be, I mean, what would that be? Would that even be human if we get normalized all these things?
I think it's already there. I always yell at my grandson, 6, he's on Fortnite. Travis Scott just did Fortnite.
Yeah, my kids too.
They were diving in the ocean. Andre Grande, she was riding on a Pegasus horse, turning upside down in space. The kids love that shit. I was getting dizzy. I was like, oh no, I've been blacked out, man. But they was enjoying.
So
they
wait
was
a
following
minute.
her.
So they were. Was your grandson in Fortnite playing it, or was he in a VR playing doing it?
Well, what you got to remember is they got it. Your computer kind of goes in 4 days. It's not in full metaverse, but he's used to that stuff, right? Me just looking at it, I was getting dizzy, right? So I think once he gets the Oculus, I don't think it's going to be a big leap for him to make that. So he wouldn't be nauseous because he's used to that type of stimulation. Where me, once she went upside down and died in the ocean, I'm like, man, I'm about to throw up.
It's weird. And to me, like, and it's so crazy too, because I put on my son has an Oculus, and when I put it on, I don't know, I can't, after I don't know, probably 2 minutes or so, I'm just, it's fun. I think it's a mental thing. Like, if you can mentally know, like, you're in it and you can control that mental stimulation, you're good. But it's like woozy to me.
Son is used to that now, right? He's been on an Oculus, he's been on 4D.
They play Fortnite, all that. Right? Your Roblox, yep.
Yeah, they give you that look, but it's just on your computer in 4D. When you put on Oculus, like, you get immersed in it. So I think that's the next step, but I think they're used to that type of stimulation. So is he getting dizzy? Because you said he's using it now.
No. We try to keep him. We try to limit him on that Oculus. I know my daughter, she likes to be on it more than him, because he's trying to learn how to, like, create games and create, like, the virtual reality. So he's learning it through another class. But he's more on a, I guess you could say, learning or business side of it. She more like to play the games on the Oculus and just have fun. But it's interesting that you said that, because, so you're saying when you're looking at the games like the Fortnite and the Roblox, you said you're looking at it the way it would look in the Oculus, simulated that way?
Yeah, but it's not quite as immersed. Like, it's 4D, but in a 2D form, so it's not quite as immersed in it. When you put on the actual goggles, you got it, man. You look like you in there with them. When you look on your computer, you kind of in there, but you don't get that full stimulation. So I think that's kind of the 2.5 before you get to 3.0 of using that. So, and like you said, your daughter doesn't seem to have any problem. I think that generation is overstimulated, so they want that type of enjoyment, right? Ain't nobody going outside anymore.
Well, see, that's the thing. We try to make sure that they do, because I don't, like, when I grew up, like I said, like, the computers, we were using them in school, but it was like, I was like, I'm totally against that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's so weird. I was probably like the oldest acting young person in my class, because I was like, I don't want to be on there. I don't even want to I don't think I got an email till I was like a senior in high school. It was crazy. But to me, like, the whole idea of being outside and the whole, like, tactileness of touching things and balls is, we try to over incorporate that with them, because, like, I feel like it's a lost art now. Little kid, you're missing out so much not going outside. Just even the vitamin D and just the exercise, they help with obesity and just all kind of stuff. Like, we try to make sure that's level, because I don't want them over consumed in the video stuff.
I just think that's the new form for kids right now. The punishment is you make them go outside. So I just think that's the new way. So I just how they consume it. Like, you got to balance it, but I think that's their new form of enjoyment. It's not going out and hooping all day.
So you said it's their new form. So from your experience, you having children and then grandchildren, as far as even linking to the poll question, do you think that's a positive or negative thing in your perspective when you're looking at it? Or do you think if once we just conform as humans anyways, it doesn't matter?
Well, I think it's both. It's what you push them towards and how they react to it and grow into it, right? If you're going to become the favorite word of the minister, if you're going to become an incel and you never talk to anybody, right? But kids, this is one of the things now. You could travel around the world in an Oculus and never leave and become a very cultured person by never leaving your house. But you can actually walk in the pyramids with Oculus and actually see the pyramids, right? You can actually go on the Eiffel Tower. You can actually go to Greece. You can actually go to say Drew Jackson. You can actually go to Africa, right? And see the motherland without really leaving, right? And you as an educator, now you can educate differently, right? If you're on top of it, right? Or you can let them be in cell and they don't talk to anybody. So I think it's how you use the tool, and how you educate them and how you move forward with that into the future.
Yeah, and I know as far as like even adding anything in education, anything stimulating, even if it is movement or a computer or any type of device, it helps with all activities with the brain. Do you get what I'm saying? And I think that the whole purpose of this conversation, especially with me, is overuse. It's the extremeness of it getting to the point where you get the nausea and you get the I don't have like the concepts that I need to get off and take a break. I think once those things come and to like get off and take the break from it, I think it's it's something that will help. Like just like you said, you can travel to different places, you can enjoy life being, especially let's say you're sedentary or you have what's that called, ops, let's say you're paralyzed or you can't it's certain situations where you can't go out and do things. I think that's awesome to experience that and keep a vitality to your life instead of stagnation, like you're saying. But okay, let me get back into this because I definitely want to hear your perspective, because this is awesome, because you're giving me a whole different side that I wasn't expecting you to say. So let me read a little bit more of this. So if you just come in, guys, hit the like button, share. I am breaking down with Professor Black Ops, special guest. We're talking about this volunteer study that it was 18 people and they spent a week working in the metaverse. So they were doing their actual job. This wasn't like play or fun. This is just the ideal of what is the perception of what metaverse will be in the future. Anyways, everybody congregating, everybody working, going to school there, just like a something that is just part of normal life. And this only for a week study kind of broke down kind of the negatives of it. Some pros, but negatives. So I kind of want to analyze that with you guys at Finesse Fam, just kind of like a tutorial or education of how will we look at this? Because we need to look at it now because it's here, right, Ops? Because people think, oh, this is gonna be in another 20 years. I love when you break this down. What is this? Is this something in the next 2 years, Ops, 5, 20? Can you kind of make the reality to the people that listen, because they always like project?
Well, they call it early adopters, normal people, late adopters, right? When you market people, the early adopters are already there. Your son is trying to figure out how to program and make money. So 20% of the population will be early adopters. Then after that, it's just people who are technology geeks, right? So they're going to be the next 5 years. And after that, regular people are going to come in because your job is going to start forcing you to be part of the metaverse, to me, right? You're going to be working in there. People are going to be doing assignments, kind of like YouTube. I think it's going to be a bag in there for you to get if you want to go in there and get it. So, but for the general population, probably 5 years at the most. Because I don't know if Meta / Mark Zuckerberg is going to control it, but when you hiring 10,000 people and spending $10 billion in the next 10 years, he's going to make that work.
Yeah, I was reading that report. It was saying that he is fully investing billions into this because he wants to be at the head of all this. And it's just so interesting to me because it's like, good grief, because something else I was reading. Dang it, where was it? I got to bring that report up. I was reading something else. Okay, so it says the concept. So we're talking about what this metaverse looks like in actuality and breaking down the pros and the cons of it. And if you weren't listening and just getting in, I was kind of looking at this from the perception of when I read through the support, like the cons and how this is going to affect in a negative way a lot of people. But Ops, when he came in from his background and his perception from cybersecurity and looking at this and, looking in his family, and we're both looking at the dynamic of our family, he's saying, listen, this is something that they're going to naturally conform to. So I don't think the generation that was born into this is going to have these big effects like the generation that just has to get exposed to it, or the older generation that never had it. So that's actually cool perception, because I never would have thought of it that way. I would have always thought of, okay, so everybody's experiencing the same thing, so maybe we need to come away from it. And I do want to ask your opinion about if you think it's good or bad.
Oh,
what is your just gut, good or bad?
I think
good or
it's
bad,
good.
not in between.
Okay, well, I'm in between, not in between. It's gonna be good for the people with money and foresight. It's gonna be bad if you poor and you struggle. Why is it gonna be bad if you poor and struggling? Is it's gonna take a lot of jobs, right? I'm a little older than you, but it used to be typing pools and secretaries all out. Those people don't exist anymore. The people you see disappearing now is the cashiers. Every time you go on Walmart, it's a blue all stuff. All right. So there's going to be more jobs that's going to disappear because of the metaverse. So if you don't have those technological skills and be able to adapt, you're going to disappear. Like the AAs, the administrative assistants disappeared. There was a ton of them. I mean, it was thousands.
Yeah.
Of them. So it's going to, like any technology, there's going to be pluses and minuses. Right. So you got to make sure you understand and you want to be on the right side of that.
And I think the AAs ops just kind of they formed and fluctuated to VAs, because virtual assistants is a thing now. They're popping everywhere.
You don't need as many of them though. That's the problem. You don't need as many of them. Because I worked at a Fortune 500 pharmaceutical company. It used to be 2,000 AAs. And now one person get an A is the CEO and the C-suite, and maybe a couple vice presidents. We went from 1,200 to maybe 50. So,
good grief, that's crazy. Okay, let's get back into this, because I got a whole bunch of just hypotheses to ask you too. So it says the concept, and also guys, if you haven't checked him out, go ahead and subscribe to Professor Black Ops. His YouTube channel is his name, so make sure you guys check him out. It says the concept of the metaverse has been held. Oh, my bad, I already read through that. All right, so okay, we talked about the nausea ops, and you basically said that is just attributed to probably their age and them not experiencing it. So it says the remainder lasted the week. So we're talking about 18 people, 2 just quit in the first, I think, day or 2. It says the remainder lasted the week, but they reported negative consequences. Now, once again, they weren't gaming, they weren't playing video games or anything fun. They were doing their regular work in the metaverse. It says compared to
I guess she disappeared, y'all. So
oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Coming back.
Oh, did you hear my question, Ops?
I did not. You disappeared. You back now.
I don't know. Okay, cool. So my question to you. Okay, so it says compared to physical work environments, participants reported an average of 42% increase in frustration and 48% increase in eye strain. So my question to you is, do you believe that is okay? You guys can hear me and see me now, right? Okay, cool. Do you believe, Ops, that is just the ideal of being on this computer, or you think this is an age thing again?
I think it's an age thing in both. I think
it's
cool to say you're gonna do a study, but the metaverse wasn't tweaked to do your job efficiently, right? They're beta testing the metaverse. You're gonna be frustrated,
right?
So because you one of the first people ever get in it, so right, they go, okay, we need to do this. Okay, you can always go from light to a dark screen. I do most of my work on a dark screen, right? So it's just stuff that needs to be tweaked. Those people are a little older, and all people are brought up into that gaming, that overstimulation, you taking over the earth from a planet type thing, right? So I think the young generation is going to eat that up. I think it's mostly an age thing.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I mean, to me, like I said, as far as that, it depends. Like you said, this is not like a full-fledged study, because to me, a study is something where you're doing in the thousands of people, hundreds of thousands, right? But to me, it was a captivating and interesting ideal, because it's the start of people paying attention and starting to put the data or mark down what is really happening with this. Because to me, honestly, I think people are just going to kind of go into this, and like you said, it's such a normal. I don't think they're going to want to do any type of studies till it hits the fan. You get what I'm saying? I think it's more so like it's projected that this is what you need to know is coming anyways, so just do it. So I thought this was interesting because somebody was actually trying to even take a small group of people and figure out like what in this little snapshot group, what is the outcome of it, right? So they're saying they also reported feeling more. Go ahead. You were saying something?
Let me go real quick because people forget we were talking about remote work in the 1980s. We just really got it right now because
Oh,
of the
really?
pandemic. We were trying to do that stuff on dial-up modems, and the modems were too slow. So people don't realize, they think remote work just magically happened. But what magically happened was everybody's got cable modems with this high speed now. Ain't nobody using dial-up.
Okay.
You got Teams, you got Microsoft. They've been using in that company for 10 years. So people think remote work just magically happened. They've been talking about remote work since I was in college. I'm 53. We just finally got it right. So I think people don't realize it's a long journey. And two is a lot of time technology is going to get better. It's not going to stand where it's at. Now everybody's got high speed modems. Everybody's used to Zoom. Everybody's on YouTube. So we're used to doing this. We were trying to do this in the 80s and was struggling.
Well, I didn't even know that. So okay, so in the 80s, what capacity was it then? Was it just a big, huge, like Fortune 500 companies trying to just get into it, or was it functional? You know what I'm saying?
It was
in the
Fortune
80s.
500 companies and DoD, the biggest companies, were trying to do remote work.
Okay.
They got workers all over the globe, but they were struggling.
Gotcha.
One reason they was trying to do it cheaper, but the internet, people was using 1200, 17 by 900 baud modems, which are too slow. Now everybody's got cable modems, so you don't even think about speed being an issue. Even now, it's a little issue, but now the internet is so spread out and so useful, and now we got 5G coming. So people don't even realize that was an issue back then. So so that's why I'm saying this metaverse, this is just the total. By the time 6G comes out, it's gonna be a totally different deal when you get in the metaverse, just because of the speed of it.
Okay, so what's different? They haven't even fully put out 5G yet, have they? They haven't implemented that everywhere. Okay, so what?
They're testing 6G now. Go ahead.
No, so that's my question. Going into the higher levels of the different gigs. Okay, so 6G just means faster, quicker. What does it mean? You can actually virtually project something? Like what?
All of that. Right.
Oh, Jesus.
So now you can project. And I think the nausea of that is because if you look on Roblox, sometimes it gets glitchy and you can kind of feel like it's stopping and going, right? So I think if you get more speed, I think it'll be smoother, transitions will be smooth. Even with cables, sometimes like you just blanked out. So I think you get a little of that toppiness still. The 6G and fiber optics to your house, I think a lot of that's going to ease out, and I think you're going to get less nausea too.
So you saying even with the gigs, like, but you can't control weather, and you can't control if maybe a pole went down or all that. So you thinking so you're saying the higher the gig.
See, there you go. See, the gigs got her, people. You got to get the gigs on there. Shout out to the gigs. But I'm sure she'll be back. Let's see what the odd is saying. Want to welcome everybody. Please subscribe. Gail's got the 5G, the best moderator on the planet. Shout out to Gail.
Ops, can you hear me?
I can now.
You know what, Ops? I think you the puppet master. Cause every time you say something about wait, you see the glitchiness, you went out, and then I went out, and all this high quality stuff up here. Ain't no reason it should be going on because I got my LAN into this computer, so ain't no reason it should glitch out. You might not be telling. You need to tell us something.
But people don't realize the 5G is so much quicker, but there's a pole on every other block. So it's more ways to connect your internet, right? So all that kind of weighs in. I think that's gonna help it smooth, and I think that's why people get nausea. Not immediate, but
okay. All right, so let's get into the rest of this report. So if you're just getting in, hit the like button. I got Professor Block Ops here, my special guest, and we're talking about basically there was a mini observation done on the metaverse and actually working in it. So besides gaming, which is what a lot of people want to do in the metaverse, the ideals of metaverse is that they want it to be a place where people work, congregate, go to school at. So there was a study done by a group from, I believe it was called New Science, and they did a small report on a group of volunteers that volunteered to go into the metaverse and actually do their physical job in there for a week, and then they kept track and data of the outcomes of it. And we're just kind of going over it, making comparisons into the reality of what's going on and then the practicality of it. And that's why we have Professor Black Ops here with us, because he specializes in working in IT for what, 20, 30 plus years, Ops, IT?
30 plus.
Okay. And cybersecurity, right? And I love even the aspect of cybersecurity because, once again, my background with the criminal justice and that justice side of looking at things is also awesome to talk about to me, right? It also says the researchers noted that many of the problems would fade with improvements in technology, ergo what Ops just said, and as people get used to using the tech, like Ops said, the severity of the eye strain also appeared to diminish as the week progressed, right? So these were things that didn't stay, it diminished. It says they also noted that the results of the relatively small study, when I just told you guys this was in huge. Now when you do studies, and I know this good with my background in psychology, these are in what is going on? I don't even know why this is doing this. But anywho, sorry guys. Sorry, Ops. I might just leave my avatar on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me, Ops? Okay, cool. All right, cool. So yeah, guys, when you do studies, it's always big groups in the hundreds and thousands. So this was a small study, right? An experiment. And it says the small studies are dependent on the subjective experience of each individual, right? Once again, subjective comes from Ops giving us another side or objectiveness to it, right? Not just subjective. It says overall, this study helps laying the groundwork. Like I told you guys, this isn't something where we're just going off and this is the truth, right? It says the overall study, hold on. Okay. All right. It says overall, this study helps laying the groundwork for subsequent research, highlighting current shortcomings and identifying opportunities for improving the experience of working in VR, says the researchers from Germany, Cambridge University, University of Primorska, Slovenia, and Microsoft. It says, we hope this work will stimulate further research investigating long-term productive work in the VR category. So my question with you, Ops, let me see who's here. Which is
I can't hear you.
Forgot my yeah, I had my mute on, sorry. So helpful. Shout out to you. I'm glad you were here. They said metaverse is going to be big for those that can't separate internet from reality. What do you have to say to that, Ops?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one portion of it. I think it's going to be big for everybody. Like we said, there's going to be part of the incels that's going to do it, but the reality of it is that's going to be the next phase of the web, right? We Web 1.0, Web 2.0, Facebook, Web 3.0, right? Each one of those are big money makers, and the technology is more embedded into your life every day. Right? Most people don't go to banks anymore. Most people do most of their banking online. Hell, my fast, I do all my shopping on Amazon. I don't even leave the house anymore. I depend on Fit, I send it back. So I think that's just the next step. That's the part of the whole world is going to be embedded.
Outside, you're kind of glitching. You probably have to repeat what you said, because let me know in the chat. You're glitched. So you might want to repeat what you said because you glitched. Can I hold on? Huh?
You hear me now?
Yeah, keep talking. Let me make sure I can hear you, because you glitched out for probably like a minute.
Okay, yeah.
Still kind of. It's glitching. Ops, it's glitching. Yeah, I can't hear you.
I'm gonna drop out.
Yeah, drop out and come right back. Yeah, drop out. Okay, guys. Ops, he was glitching up. Like I said, Ops, he might be trying to be the puppet master here, because every time Ops says something about technology and going in and out, my camera's clicked out. Now I'm laying, and I got a high tech camera, so I don't know why it would glitch out. That was odd. Dun, 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 dun. If you're just getting in, guys, make sure you hit the like button. And guys, if you have any questions, we have Professor Black Ops here. He has over 30 years plus in IT and cybersecurity, so he's an expert in his field. I have my background in psychology and criminal justice, so I always try to take different topics and mesh my profession and things that I've learned, and try to kind of analyze and break that down for you guys and teach you. If you're just coming in, make sure you hit that like button on the way in. Also, make sure that you guys hit the share. Sharing is caring, and consider, if you haven't, joining the Finesse family by being a channel member, and that helps with supporting the channel. And I appreciate all the channel members that are here. Thank you, guys. Hey, Crystal, hopefully you're having a great day. Thank you for being here. As So Helpful says, I blame Zuckerberg. Yeah, I think a lot of people do. Yeah, Gail says, yeah, I hear Ops is breaking up. I hear him, but it's spotty. Yeah, right when he was getting into the good part, seems like it got real spotty when he was talking. But guys, I want to look at, it says the negative effects of too much screen time, right? And this is interesting because it talks about how screen time can give you sleep deprivation, lack of social skills, vision problems, obviously, like we talked about. I know a lot of my students said that when in elementary, they started using the computers in elementary, and then by the time they got in middle school, they had to wear glasses, right? So just that eye strain, you have to know to kind of come off and get off. Okay, hold on. Let me get you back up. We see Ops in the back. Okay. Okay, Ops, go ahead and try to talk. You look glitchy, but hopefully I can get you in. Okay, I got you up, Ops. I don't know if you can hear me. Looks like you might still be glitching. Okay, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you now.
Okay. I just think it's going to be the future. I don't think there's one part. I think it's going to struggle a little bit. So I just don't. I think it's going to be the new way to do business.
You glitching again. Ah, man. It's like I heard you, but you glitch kind of in and out. Is it the connection there, or is it? Because I heard you. Yeah, you were perfect at the beginning. I could hear everything you were saying at the beginning.
Let me drop off. I'm gonna restart the connection.
Yeah, do that. You probably got to restart. Yeah, do that. Because I definitely want to hear what you have to say on this. So we'll be here. Go ahead, Ops. Okay, cool. So if you're just getting in, once again, we are talking about all things metaverse. We're talking about the good and the bad. Metaverse hurt. Is this going to affect us as a society in a negative way, as humanity in a negative way, community? Or is this just something, you know, as life, things change and we move forward, and it's just something that as a change and we just kind of conform to and get used to, right? So once again, shout out to all those that just came in. Thank you. So if you did not know and see, we had Professor Black Ops. We're going to try to get him back up in a second. We just kind of broke down and went through a report, guys, where we were talking about the metaverse, and it was a small fragment study where they had some workers, and they broke down kind of what the workers complained about. And 2 of them in the first 2 hours, guys, they dropped out of the study, right? Because they said it was too much. They had the Oculus 2 on, and basically, guys, what they did is they weren't gaming or anything. They were just really doing their work, so their job, but they were in the metaverse doing it. So they're trying to start doing tests on that to see how employees kind of respond, and how even long they can stand to be in virtual reality before, you know, the brain starts noticing things and having, you know, even in a sense like panic attacks, because your brain is used to like looking at things also in like a 2D 3D form. But when you're in the metaverse, it's like everything is virtual, so your brain has to kind of get used to all that, right? Let's see, still a bad connection. Okay, Gail said it was still a bad. Yeah, it came sound like it was bad to me. We got Well Talk Productions in the building. It says salute Finesse fam and Professor Black Ops. Yeah, guys, let's look at some of the effects though, because my whole thing as far as like the screen time. Even if you're on the computer, and a lot of you know, because you get that feeling where your eyes just kind of get like tired and they have a burning feeling. So we know that is actually a true thing. And as far as like even me talking to my students about these negative effects, a lot of them mentioned to me, guys, my chair is squeaky. Can you hear it? I'm trying. You hear it? Oh crap! I'm trying not to move. I hope you guys don't hear that. You probably do though. You guys are probably sitting there laughing. Let me try to adjust this chair. Let me adjust this chair. Hold on a second, guys. Dios míos. Okay. If you guys hear squeaking, it's my chair. Do not laugh. All right. I probably need to oil it or something. But yeah, it says the harmful and negative effects of too much screen time. It says the physical strain to the eyes and the body, spending hours on long straining, sleep deprivation, and increased risk of obesity, right, and passive sedentary nature. And this is my question I pose to you, Finesse family. Do you guys think that's good or bad, right? Do you think that's good or bad? I'm looking. Let's see. Let's look at the votes here. What you guys are saying. Hold on, guys. Let me try to get it up in here. Get the poll up. I can't even see the poll. Says this is going to be negative. Let me know, guys, if you can, because the poll's not coming up on my end. All right, you guys here? Let's share the screen. Okay. All right, Ops, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me? I rebooted
yes,
everything.
I hear you excellently now. Excellently.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. So just on that one thing, I just think it's the future. I don't think it's people on the internet and reality. 2 years ago, you didn't think work remote was going to be reality. So I just think it's a step forward, and we just progressing as a society. Like you brought up, some of it's going to be good and some of it's going to be bad.
Me looking at it too, as far as like the good and the bad, I always wonder as far as like being in the virtual reality and the sedentary. And we already see most people in their jobs, they're sitting the majority of the time. So do you think as far as them sitting and being in the metaverse, do you think that's going to become an issue as far as people becoming too sedentary, like I don't know, like they're not moving around, they're not doing anything? So do you think that could lead to the mindset of being like even depressed because you're not getting up, moving around?
I mean, I think we're already there. You said you got to make your kids go outside, so I don't think it's any different. I think it might be more enticing for you to do it, but we already got that problem now. I mean, most people are sedentary from work. It's not like we farming anymore. Most people aren't outside, and if you get in the bag, most of the bag is sitting down. So I mean, I think we have that problem now.
Yeah, that's actually a good point what you said about that. Like that ideal of, back in the day, people were working, they were moving around.
Mm-hmm. You could, not even kids. I remember hooping 8 hours a day. You got to beg a kid to go outside now.
It's so fun, and I think, and it's so weird, even in school, Ops. I don't know if you've actually asked your son or talked to your grandchild. They even shorten recess. So it's like, even at a lot of schools, they don't even offer recess, and they have to fight to get that back into schools.
So like people put that on the metaverse. That's a problem now. Now, I think it's going to be a lot easier to be more sedentary, right? But now, like I said, that's a I think that's a upcoming technology and societal problem now. I mean, you got obesity in 9-year-old kids now because the sugary drinks and they don't really work out or hoop. And two is a lot of the schools charge for after school activities, where it used to be free. You get your football pads, you just show up or you track. Now you got to pay for a lot of that stuff.
That's hold on. Okay, that's true. Most of the stuff, yeah, they do charge. It's not something that's offered after school or free for you to actually do. Um, so that's an interesting concept too. I know, as far as like you said with Zuckerberg, he says today, I think we are looking at the internet, but he says I think in the future we're going to be in as far as the experiences. Do you think, as far as just hypothesizing, people going into the metaverse or being into it, do you think it will lead to like an extended life or extended lifestyles as far as that opportunity where I guess you could say you're not getting up, moving around a lot? So do you think it might extend people's lifestyles because they're actually getting what they want in the metaverse besides work?
Once again, that's a two-edge. You got a lot of people faking on Instagram, right? So they're gonna be really faking on the metaverse coming to my mansion, right? So when you talk about lifestyle, like my man said, I agree. That's the internet versus reality, right? There's a lot of Instagram influencers that are struggling, right? But they look good on Instagram, right? So I
Right.
think that's going to be steroids. I think there's going to be some health benefits because you see it now. You have remote doctors that are seeing people in rural areas in the hood. You don't even have to go to the doctor, right? You're going to be able to put a cuff on. They're going to be able to take your blood pressure, glucose, just from stuff you click on your fingers in the future, right? So I think there's going to be some technology health benefits, but somehow we're going to have to incorporate movement into the metaverse. So we're going to be like Wally. We're going to be floating around chairs, extra fat with little bitty arms and shit. So,
Floating around chairs with little bitty arms. That's hilarious. And to me, I know when I think about it from my perspective, pops, it's just so I don't know. I don't know. I guess me being an educator and being around people naturally and just that's me. Even though I'm a type of person like people naturally gravitate to me and I naturally am like a person that people feel comfortable to come up to and speak to. I'm very much so like to be kind of to myself. I very much so like to kind of be in my peace and to myself. So I always kind of just kind of think about what that really looks like when people are so to themselves and they get what they want as far as being left alone and having your own mansion in your metaverse and your own, I don't know, dogs or whatever. Do you think that would lead to like a total polar turnaround maybe in like 50 to 100 years that people will kind of go crazy because they got everything? Because there's nothing really to work for. What's your hypothesis on that one?
what now? Well, I think I don't think they're going to go crazy because I think there's going to be a certain thing you're going to need to do to make money in the future where you're going to have to do content or do some type of work, right, to be able to get it, right? So I think that component is not going anywhere. And two is if you're a social person, now you could be with 100 people around the world. If you're antisocial, you can have an avatar on the top of Mount Everest while you meditate, right? So I think it depends on what you're searching for and what you want to get. Now, the point you bring up is what I worry about is I think you have a lot of fake people who are going to live a fake life, right? And they're going to be incels, right? So I think that's the problem. And you
Oh,
see
can
that
you
a
break
lot.
that down? Because you had got cut off when you were talking about that before. Can you break down that thought? Because you didn't
Yeah.
finish it earlier.
Yeah, because you got a lot of people who, like you said, are incels or people that don't communicate with people and people that don't socialize with people. Now with the metaverse, you don't really have to socialize with people because you're not going to work anymore. All right, most people aren't grocery shopping; they having their stuff delivered and dropped on the porch. So in the near future, you really, unless you really want to talk to people, you might not have to really talk to people very much at all now, right? So that's going to be a scary society, like my man brought up. That part is kind of frightening, right? Because then you have people with these echo chambers that are hanging out with people like them and reinforcing some of their bad habits. So I think that's something we have to look at and something you have to check out with your family members to make sure they're living some kind of, like you said, a real life, because you can live a fake life, which is okay if you want to do that, but there's ramifications for your health, and how you interact with people.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. Let me get into. If you guys have any questions for Ops, guys, let me know. Um, let me know. I'm. What is that doing? Oh, it's jumping on and off. So the poll, we're looking at the poll. It says, Gail says, I don't see the poll. It's so weird how the poll will pop up and it disappears on my end. So you guys say you don't see it either. It says 50-50. So my question in the poll was, do you think that the metaverse would be more positive or negative in the long run? So I definitely want to know, specifically, Ops, what you see positive and or negative on both sides of this. If you're looking at this as a double-edged sword, what are the
Yeah.
positives to you and the negatives when you're looking forward to your family and what that looks like?
The positive is, if your family is across the world, y'all can visit each other on the metaverse, right? You can watch your kids grow up, on a metaverse. You can have human interaction wherever you at. The technology advancements from the metaverse. If you ever watch Iron Man, right, he's fixing on stuff with these 3 dimension stuff,
Oh,
in
that's
thin
cool.
air.
Yeah.
You be able to do that in the metaverse for real, right? So those technology things that you're going to discover in the metaverse, and two is you can get the top 20 scientists on the planet in the same room, right? And they can actually discuss some of the biggest things. Can take a class from some of the smartest people on the planet and probably pay $10 a class because you got 1,000 people in the metaverse listening to this guy talk, right? So you can get some of the best skills and technology on the planet. But let's go to the negative side. Is we talked about this before. The United States really don't want to have schools in poor districts because your tax base does not support the school. You're running a negative. They're going to put you in the metaverse. So now, if you have a 6-year-old that doesn't have human interaction, what is that going to do to a 6-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, your family's supposed to fill in that void, but we know some people are lacking, right? So there's a lot of things too. Is I believe in the next 20 years, $30 million, 30 million jobs are going to disappear because of technology. Self-driving trucks, self-driving
Yeah.
cars,
Right.
grocery
Right.
stores, lawyers,
Yep.
right? Artificial intelligence,
Yes. Yep.
communications with chatbots, right? So where do you fit in that, right? That's why they want you to be in a metaverse to pacify you. They're going to give you your mansion so you don't march on the
Good point.
streets, right? So you got to make sure the metaverse is going to be here to control you and pacify you, right? So you got to think about that, right? Because if I give you everything you want and give you the only verse, will you ever strike? Will you ever push back on the government? Will you ever push back on society? Right. So
Right.
there's some things where you want to push back. There's things you should vote on. There's things you should do. But if I give you everything in the metaverse and $800 a week, are you just gonna shut up and follow suit?
Oh, right. Universal income.
UBI.
Exactly.
Right. So that's it. I don't want to get too
Exactly.
deep. What you got? I'm gonna throw it
Yeah.
back
You
to
know.
you.
No. You know. That's why I love talking to you because your perception of it, because you've been in this industry for so long, is so unparalleled to me. Because, like I said, I never took it to that gravity of I just always see that I can see where it's going to hit the rails, and I can see where you're just going to see these blobs of people. You're not even going to have no body or form because you don't want to get up, you don't want to exercise. You, like you said, you've gotten everything. But my question is, because they're already monetizing this thing, like the money part of it, they're even selling. Well, we know this with our kids, or those of us that have grandkids and you pay attention. The skins,
The
right? So
Roblox.
even when you get the skins and then the Fortnite. So even when you get into the metaverse, like I'm trying to see how they're going to sustain. But then you just brought up the point that the universal income. Because I'm like, how are you going to buy your food or clothes? I mean, you still got to eat real food and stuff. But I mean, you can spend, I say, 20 hours in the metaverse just on the strength because people do that already playing these games. What is that, Call of Duty or World of Warcraft or whatever? They're sitting there doing it already. So that ideal of pacifying people when the world is still, man, I was just watching a movie. What was that called? It was so good. I don't know if you watch movies that much, but it was a movie. Basically, it was this boy was in this capsule, right? And his job was just to do this, like he was in this mine, and he controlled this robot in this mine, and it was like he was in a desert in his own capsule. And the capsule, he was sitting in the seat, and it gave him his food and his nutrients, and so he never would get up, and he was just like a zombie. And then he realized like the job he was doing wasn't necessary; it was just something to keep his mind in that loop. And not come outside that capsule. So when he came outside the capsule, he found it was other people trying to go against this ideal. I guess we could say a monolith, but it was basically computers running everything, and they just they're computers, so they haven't conformed to kind of being human. So it was just that ideal of let's make the humans like keep working and think that they're doing a job, and we're giving them food, we're creating food and stuff for them so they can sustain, but we don't want them to overthrow, I guess, something in the sense. Right. I wish we had a movie called it. Was good.
Because when you got trillionaires, are you gonna be upset if Jeff Bezos was a trillionaire and you still making $21 an hour, what the average person makes in the United States? I think it's 27. Are you going to overthrow? Right. So that's the question of the pacification of the metaverse, right? So they want to give something for you to entertain you, right? Then two, on the metaverse, you're going to have skins and, like you said, different stuff. And two, it's going to be the ultimate commercial. Instead of a commercial, a young lady or man who you like their description is going to be holding a Coke next to you. Is that going to make you want to buy a Coke in the real world? Maybe. All right. So you're not going to know who's real, who's not. Are those product placements? Is that guy really drinking a Coke? Or is that just a commercial avatar trying to get you to buy Coke, right? So.
And I wonder, will you be able to, because all the shows I watch, like I watched, what's that show? I watched a show I think, Sense. There's a show on Amazon. Oh, I forget what that show is. So good. I don't know, but people, it's like they're living their afterlife, and they import their brain and their consciousness into this place, and then it's like levels. Because if you got a lot of money, your consciousness can live forever in this place, and then if you don't, your consciousness you don't have it anymore because you can't pay and afford it, right? So I definitely want to talk about now like the autonomy of all this, like with no control and no autonomy, which means you can kind of be who you want to be, but you're not really that. Do you think it's going to create more of like a psychosis with people? And I see polar opposite. I think when you get what you want, you do literally go crazy or lose your mind. What's your perception on that, or your speculation?
Well, there's, like you said, two things. Are you going to get a psychosis? But if you actually look up Neuralink, which is another Elon Musk, he thinks he can actually make a copy of your brain cells and your consciousness and save them in a computer, right? So will you ever die if he ever makes that happen, right? And people working, they call it neural networks. I used to study a little bit that. And if I take your brains and put it on a neural network, is that you? Right, too, is right. If I know all your mannerisms and all your habits, I can probably take AI and machine learning and guess those in the future because you're in the metaverse somewhere. Is that you, or is that a copy of you? Right. So there's going to be some fundamental decisions from that perspective, from a medical and artificial intelligence, to what that's going to be and what are we going to let that be, right, as a society. And two is the psychosis is we're going to give you everything you want, but we're going to give you in such small doses. I don't think you would have psychosis, right? Because like you said, I think they're going to give you some job so you can earn some of that UBI. So I think that's going to keep you busy, like Ready Player One. So I think they understand that. So they're going to spoon feed that to you, so you don't get nauseous with too much. So that's my take on it.
Like overthrow and overturn, because like you said, just what's that saying about putting a frog and you slowly turn the heat up instead of turning that heat all the way up, and then people have already kind of, their minds have conformed to it. And I mean, and that's anything, that's how you form habits. It takes a long journey of doing the same thing over and over habitually. And it's funny that you say that, Ops, because that was a show, it was on Amazon or HBO, but the same concept you said, which basically I think they called it a synth, which is synthetic. And basically the concept of the movie or TV show I was watching is guy. His wife was working a lot. She was a lawyer, and you can buy these scents. So the scents probably cost as much as I think like a car or house, because you got to get a loan unless you got a lot of money, and you pay for it monthly. And the scent replaces the mediocre jobs humans don't want to do. Washes the dishes, cooks the clothes, plays with the kids. I don't know, does basic level work. But the idea of the synth was there was some of them offset. Somehow they formulated watching humans or that whatever, like you said, when you connect that brain to I think that was what's his name, Iron Man. How isn't it that red guy that they have on the show now? He's connected to the whatever, and once again they could save your consciousness. And these synths, which were really robots, were manipulating the code to figure out that the code was going so well opposite. They were formulating human consciousness themselves, so they were reacting with emotion. And it was amazing to me because I know literally that could happen if the code kept working itself out right. It would mirror it. That's my perception. What do you think?
Well, if you look at Google, two of their programmers said their chatbot is sentient now. That the programmers was having a real with chatbot, so the programmer thinks it was really acting as a human, right? So I think we're getting there, right? So and I think with the speed of computers and how many VMs you can spin up for a neural network, like you said, I think we're getting there. So I think we're trying to figure out what we're gonna do when we get there. So like you said, they say Google's already there, right? So we've been talking about artificial intelligence for the last 50 years, and technology getting better, like we just talked about. The speed, the gigabytes memory, you're getting so close now. Like, and that's kind of when you talk about the incels, right? They talking about sex robots in Japan, and so it's all out there now, right? So I don't need to talk nothing. I got the sex robot now. I'm going on a whole different level, right? So, I think that's gonna happen.
And see, this is my perception of it, because I understand that the human psyche, it never is honestly content when it has something, especially something that's kind of blowing its mind, and or something that is taking it to that level where you're hitting the peakness as a human or whatever. So my concern is always, even with them having those dolls and toys, it's never going to be enough. So what's the next thing? Because you're going to get old with that concept of that. So then what is the next thing? So that's where my ideal.
No, you're right there, because as a metaverse, if you I'm trying to think of the word. If you overindulge in something and the metaverse keeps giving you more and more of that, right? When do you become a monster, right? So,
exactly. Yes, exactly. You said exactly.
I'm gonna touch on it. If you're in the BDSM and the metaverse is giving you that, how far do you take it, right? Because there's a show called Westworld on HBO, and they do things to female robots, and they talk about that. And long story short, the robots come back, but people were just going too far, because if you don't think something's human, what are you allowed to do to it then, right? So then am I feeding all my monster capabilities or issues, right? So that definitely something you got to be careful with the metaverse, right?
And the ideal of it still now, and I haven't really heard people talking about it. How do you police it, and could you even police it? Like, what does that even look like with the police force? They can't even keep up with the stuff now. I hate to say.
They did it because one lady said she went into the metaverse, and guys jumped on her and argued her, but
I remember that. Yeah.
If it's ever so, what they just put the program, the avatars can't be more than 3 inches. They can't physically touch anymore. From the program, you can't make them touch anymore, right? So you can write code to say, okay, the avatars can only get so close, right? So they're starting to put those things in there.
So the companies put that in. That's not like a kill switch or anything that the person can do. Because I know when we talked about this a couple months back, I think it was Facebook Meta, because they were the ones that were about to get sued by that lady. They were saying that she didn't read through the entire thing when she was in there, because it says that there's like a button you can turn on, even if they don't, and it will keep people away from you or whatever. But do you think that's an integrity thing?
you telling me this now? Like it should be something that's like right when I come in, I should see that
Well,
button, a layer before you enter. Or do you think people should just be reading?
I, I, the reason I laugh is because if I'm Meta, I would never think anybody would go that far. For you need to push the button. You know what I'm saying? If you think about it, I would
Yeah,
think,
that's true.
okay, do we really need that button? Right? So, I mean, I can see both sides of it, right? Because to me, I'm like, dude, you is that what you really doing in the metaverse? After out of all the great things you can do on this planet, that's what you decide to do in the metaverse. So for me, that's a but two is I see it on YouTube though. We act crazy on YouTube
Yeah.
too. So, but so like I said, I see both sides, and that's what we're talking about is the metaverse getting better, the metaverse getting quicker. We getting rules and regulations to like anything. You don't make rules for the many, you make rules for the few. The few people who's gonna go too far and break them, right? So, it's to me, it's working standard and it's going according to plan.
Right. And like I said, I mean, it's so big that it's. I'm hoping that they're thinking about those type of things, and like you said, it's nobody. I guess you could say quote unquote normal. You're not even thinking about those safe switches because you're not thinking people will take it to that level. But me understanding the psyche of people,
Okay.
psychology, I don't never put it past nobody. I'm always overthinking things like that because to me
Okay.
it is humanity. We have those, guess you could say, incels or those really just demented people that just they're there and they're gonna do those things and I'm just hoping that they are prepared for that and they have those things set up because if not I could just see this whole thing as just a windfall and it's just gonna consume so many people because of the fact that there just weren't doors set up. I mean just think about how smart these kids are now. You
Yeah,
know,
but
think about
is
them
that
coming into this and being exposed, getting their little minds blown already earlier than they already get their little minds blown.
well, I guess they were doing that on Roblox. They were had some rooms where kids were going in. They were doing inappropriate things in a
Are you
couple rooms.
serious?
Yeah,
Oh
Google it. I was
Jesus!
surprised. I was going to do a video of that,
Oh,
but to me though is if we put all the incels in a part of it and we let them do what they want to do, is that good or bad? Are we letting them, do their thing
well,
so they're not doing a regular
see,
part? Are we fading their mind? Are we feeding their monster part of it? So is that which part of that is good and which part is bad?
I believe your the brain, the human brain, unless you limit it, it is limitless. So I believe nobody is ever really content unless they choose to be. And I think those quote unquote incels will always want more. They will want more and higher levels of it and more, I guess you could say, perversion. I don't think it's going to stop. Do you get what I'm saying? So there has to be a limit set, rules set, because if you let them, I guess you could say, quote unquote, go off into their own area, who's to say that they're not talking and luring other people in that area? And I
No.
believe, I'm making a speculation, that room that you probably found in Roblox, I bet you those weren't little kids. Those are probably
No,
adults that play Roblox.
adults
They
got
were
them
kids?
tricking.
Oh
No, they
yeah,
were
I'm about to
adults.
say.
They were
That's
adults.
what I felt, and they were just kind of grooming little kids, probably to even get them over there. Ergo, kind of what we're talking about as far as the metaverse and things to that level, which is what people would do. But I mean, it's like I said, I love having these talks and conversations about it because to me, it's so necessary that we talk about the good and bad and the ugly of the house because you need to be prepared. And like I said, people probably didn't even know until you said it about the Roblox thing. I didn't. I look at Roblox and it looks so rudimentary to me. I don't understand why people want to sit and play that. But my other coworker, who's a teacher, she said it's more about skills and building. That's why people like playing it. She said it's kind of like a mind game or something. Like it really helps level your mind. I don't know. But I was like, oh, okay, because I didn't. It looks all rudimentary to me. I didn't understand what the point was. But that's what she said. But as far as that, I don't know. I don't. Is there anything else you want to add or have questions about, or you wanted to kind of speculate on? Because I got all my questions out. I didn't have any more questions about it.
It's not speculation, but like you said, is how can you make money into they call it Web 3.0? How are you going to be first to get there? What skills do you need to be on there? Are we going to see Miss B Finesse staying on top of a mountain while we all listen, right? So there's a lot of different things you can do, from a training standpoint, influencer standpoint, right? You want to be first to move, right? I should have been on YouTube 10 years ago. I'm late, right? So
Me
How,
too.
how do you
I'm
how do you
super
do
late.
right? Yeah, how do you do that, and how do you fundamentally get ready, and how do you get your kids ready? You want your kids to be on the cutting edge, but like you said, you don't want them in there getting groomed to do something else either, right? So there's a balance, right, with anything. Um, like I said, I think technology is usually pluses and minuses. You just got to make sure you're on the plus side of things you're doing, so you can benefit that from money wise, health wise, time wise, job wise. There's just so many things that's I think, gonna explode on the metaverse. So
And my last question to you, as far as just analyzing and break down the metaverse and just your perspective, or I guess you would say a call to action to it, is how can people prepare for it now? What are some things that they can do if they're ignoring it, not paying attention to it? Just from you, I guess you could say, being a 50 plus person, what
yeah.
are some things that they can do just to get into the reality of this? Because I think a lot of people just don't want to pay attention to it.
Um, it- the metaverse actually has a basic PC where it looks like a more advanced roadblock. So you can go in there and look at the metaverse. So you can look at training on there. You should read articles about what is marketing going to be in the metaverse. There's always a ton of articles on there. And you've seen it in the movies before, right? But I think it's coming to fruition. So that's how you want to get in front of it. And when you look at Roblox and Sims and what's the other one we are talking about, what Travis Scott just did is Con-
Fortnite.
yeah, Fortnite. Those are actually 2.5, and the metaverse is 3.0. So if you get on those and get comfortable with those, right? Those were more entertainment. And like we talked about, the metaverse is trying to be more business, right? That's the step before you get to that. So I think you need to be becoming aware of that, viewing those, and sit down with your kids and just talk to them about it. Because I'm sure they're already in Roblox and Fortnite. I know my grandson, I can't get his ass off of Fortnite. Boy.
Yeah,
So
mine either. They
so
always on
they are,
Fortnite.
yeah. So they're already in there. They're buying concert tickets because I think 20 million people watched Travis Scott
Yeah.
dive in the ocean for a concert. I think if you got 20 million people, you only need $1. You only need 50 cents from everybody. I need everybody 50 cents.
A penny. Oh,
Right,
boom. You still gonna
right,
make
right,
some money.
right. So now your scale is so much bigger. You don't need to make a ton of money, right? If you do $2 or like you said 50 cent, you killing it, right? You got a whole new level of concerts, and obviously they're doing it. Travis Scott, Grande, and somebody, I think Pink did one in on Fortnite. So they're trying to figure out how to do it, how to monetize it, and how to
I
win
think
with it.
I
So
think Bieber too. I think Bieber was on
he
there
might
with
have been,
Ariana Grande.
yeah. So they're doing it. So they're trying to figure it out, right? And so right now you getting that many people on there. I don't know if they charge, but you getting that many people viewing at
That's
one
pretty
time.
wild. Yeah.
That's a crazy amount of people, right? And a lot of people don't realize Facebook is old, but I think they said 30% of the planet's on Facebook, right? The planet,
Yes.
right? Right. So
Yes, that's
so
true.
so people are not thinking when you got that many people, you only need a nickel and a couple of dimes for everybody, and you done for you can retire, right? So I
That's
think we
it.
need to think about it, figure it out, and at least understand it. Even if we're not making run about it, you want to understand it for the kids and your future and your job prospects. We talk about jobs
True.
disappearing too, so you want to understand how that works and how you fit into that new future.
And once again, that was an awesome breakdown, because you actually said specific jobs. You said, can you repeat those jobs you were saying so people can kind of get an understanding? You might not lose it today, but they're already
Yeah.
projecting these things. They do this stuff, and their budget's
Yeah.
going out
So if you
years.
Google it, you see it now. Cashiers are done. Uh, Truckers aren't going to disappear, and they're just going to slim down because long haul trucks. Shout out to Elon Musk, right? Autonomous cars, lawyers, right? Most lawyers is research. That's a little artificial intelligence. If I give you a case, the computer can go bring up all the cases and how all the
Yes.
cases was won with it, right? So people don't realize those high level jobs. Accounting is usually debits
Accounting,
and
definitely.
credits, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of things in call centers, right? People doing chat boxes. You're on your phone plus one. Most of your banking you're doing on your computer. So those type of high level jobs are going to disappear, right? I'm an IT guy. I used to spin up servers. I go to Amazon. I click a button. I can spin up 200 servers and nobody set them up. I just click the button, right? You can buy computer power like water, right? So those jobs are going to move to something else, right? So you want to be careful and be in the forefront of that.
Good grief. All right, Ops. Well, I definitely totally appreciate that you took that time to come and give your professional perspective on this topic. I always love when I find something dealing with metaverse, good or bad, to bring it up because it's so interesting to me. Number one, and number two, I think our community and just the society as a whole, they feel like if they don't know it, they don't want to learn it, or they think it's too far fetched. And to me, just the general basicness of it, we're already kind of using it and walking in it. So I wanted to kind of make it something normal that people can see and just be prepared for it because it's here. And so I love the conversations about it.
Yeah, I gotta add one more quick thing. If you Google this, is Facebook did a psychological study on people. What they actually did is they sent you pictures to make you sad or happy, and they looked in your chat box to figure out what you said about it. I remember that getting run. I love dogs. They were showing pictures of people throwing dogs in the river, and I'm like, why I keep seeing this? Then I figured out they were doing a psychological experiment on them. If you Google it, the government told them to stop it because they were running studies, unsanctioned studies on people, right? Because that's what marketing's about. If I can make you happy, I can make you buy some. If I can make you sad, I can make you buy some, right? So that people don't realize is the studies. These big companies. That's one reason Elon Musk bought Twitter, right? People don't realize how much information, personal information, moves on Twitter. That moves stock, what people are going to buy, right? So they're trying to take that information and monetize it at a high level and at the pace of how they monetize it too, and when to buy, when not to buy, when you're happy, when you're not sad, right? All that goes into marketing and how you buy stuff and how you make money.
And I'm gonna add another study to what you were saying. I was just reading on some data this morning about TikTok, and y'all know y'all love y'all some TikTok. Y'all on there dancing and doing everything else, but they were saying how there's like this kind of war battle that a lot of people are having in legality parts with TikTok because TikTok keeps all the data from the U.S. countries allegedly, right? So it's got all the data stored. So every TikTok you on there talking, dancing, doing everything, showing everything, talking about everything, whatever, they have it all in the database. And they were saying that TikTok is not letting the American people know this, ergo why they were mad at Trump allegedly when he was trying to ban it because they had got some data and information said that they were taking all this information, but people didn't know that they were storing it. So just going back to what Ops was saying, yeah, that's true. A lot of these different sites, you guys don't understand, and you think because it's free and I can sign up for it and be on it and have my own platform, you don't know what you're giving up on the back end because you're on somewhere free, having a platform and doing all these things and not realizing that we can get into the identity and your personal information being kept in a way, but you don't know. Maybe you don't care, but some of you probably do care, but you just don't know what you don't know because you didn't research it. So yeah, they're having an issue with TikTok on the same thing, them being more open to their American side of it. So now they have like a what's that person called? Like a commissioner or ambassador or something for the American side of TikTok supposedly, and they're supposed to be more discretionary now, letting the people know or whatever. But yeah, I doubt it.
Yeah, they're not gonna do it.
No, not at all. Especially like I said, TikTok is growing so big that I was reading some reports that said that basically that is what Meta is trying to kind of form to, like a TikTok situation, because with Instagram and Facebook and all that, TikTok is still surpassing with their views and the eye watching time of people on TikTok, because you don't realize if you're sitting there, even though it's 10 seconds, you're sitting there for hours because it's like, I don't know, it's like a what's the word? It's like you're addicted. Like you don't really know, like that little high. You want to just keep doing it. But I digress. That's a whole other conversation. But once again, I appreciate you taking that time, Finesse family. We're going to go ahead and call it a wrap. Hopefully, you guys learned some stuff today. You got educated on something you didn't know, and then you take a little bit of what you learned and bless somebody else, let them know, and or go out and learn a little bit more about it and tell somebody else and teach somebody else. Oh, you guys can't hear my chair. It's It sounds really bad. But anyways, I appreciate you being here. Another episode down. Thank you, Finesse family, for all the support. Thank you, Ops, for coming through and giving your information and your professionalism on it. And thank you once again for the likes, guys, and shares. Thank you, Finesse family. And once again, guys, I will see you guys Friday. So you guys have a great day. Adios and au revoir. See you guys.